Hello Aries, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your recent past, your current energy, and your immediate future, answering the question, what do you need to know right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self? As always, I've gone ahead and pulled the overall oracle cards for the reading and clarified those. I have the tarot deck that we'll be using already shuffled, as well as the decks that I'll be using in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. All right, Aries, it has been an emotional time for you guys recently. In your recent past, you have worked through your feelings with the Knight of Cups. So your recent past was just feeling like really emotional. I don't know necessarily what led to it or in what capacity. I feel like you were feeling very triggered. I don't know. Less triggered though. Like, I mean, yeah, I definitely think there were triggers involved, but it's not like, I don't know. I just feel like this emotion was like a quick onset or something. I don't know. I don't know how this happened. And we'll get more information when we dive into tarot, but I do feel like it just feels like this was like you were flooded with emotions that were very uncomfortable and very hard to deal with. And I feel like you're still kind of going through that. Because in your current energy, you have keep your heart open with the Five of Cups. So this is kind of alluding to that emotion. I don't know if it's sadness or guilt or regret, or I don't know what it is, but because of whatever happened back here that got you into that energy, you've kind of closed off your heart a little bit. And I feel like you're afraid to put yourself out there, or to take chances, or to take a risk on yourself, or to trust yourself, or to believe that, in what you're deserving of. And I feel like this is about learning to do that again, like learning um, to believe in yourself again, almost. Like, I don't know. It sounds really cheesy. And we'll see when we dive into tarot. But then your immediate future is like opened up to change with this Page of Cups in reverse. And this Page of Cups in reverse is like that you've been receiving divine guidance, but it's been hard for you to hear it or to take steps toward it, because I feel like it's almost like you're in this protect yourself kind of mode. Like you're having a hard time opening yourself up again. And that does take time, especially after you've experienced something painful. But I just feel like the universe wants things to change for you. But I also feel like you're having to kind of get through all of the emotion associated. It's very emotional. And I don't know. It's hard for me to really put into words what this energy is kind of telling me, because it doesn't feel like there's any way to kind of describe it. It just feels like it's like emotional is the best word for it. But let's start, Aries, by looking at your recent past. You have worked through your feelings with the Knight of Cups. Work through your feelings with the Knight of Cups for Aries' recent past. Recent past for Aries. Work through your feelings with the Knight of Cups. What was Aries dealing with in their recent past, please? Nine of Swords. Yeah. See, like fear, doubt, insecurity, like, and that's the thing I feel is it's not just emotion in the sense of like, oh, I'm really sad. It's like this overwhelming sense of like these just negative emotions arising. I don't know what it is that made it. Yeah, because there's the Knight of Cups, that same Knight of Cups that you're dealing with. I want more on this Knight of Cups. You know what's interesting is I'm pretty sure I saw that. Yeah, there's the Knight of Cups on the bottom of that deck too. So something very emotional. I don't know if it was an emotional message, like communication that made you emotional, or something that happened. Clarifying this Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups for Aries' recent past. The World. So some sort of cycle is completing here. It's not giving me any information on this Knight of Cups though. So we'll get more on that in a second. But what I really want to come through, or what is really coming through, and like what I want to be able to relay, is that it just feels like your insecurities were brought to the surface in a way that it was almost like really hard to work through. Like I don't know how to describe this energy any more than that. It really feels like it was just overly emotional, and you couldn't make sense of it, and you couldn't understand it, and you couldn't get through it, and you felt stuck in it. And it was because like your insecurities were super poked at, but in some really major way. Reset past for Aries. What was Aries dealing with in their recent past? See, something fell apart. Something like a relationship or a friendship or like something to do with your community and emotional support system. And the reason for that was because you were needing to reevaluate whether or not you were getting treated like you deserved. Because this Lovers in reverse energy is an energy of not really fully knowing your worth. And I feel like this situation, like I kept talking about like insecurity, like the way that things went down validated this feeling of not feeling worthy or lovable or deserving. And it validated this so that you could flip this on its head and start to see your worth. So it's almost like this situation happened in a way to where it brought all of your fears, doubts, and insecurities about yourself to the surface so that you could address them and almost like get to know them. That's what it feels like. Like it's almost like the reason it was so hard for you to work through these emotions was it's almost like you had to get to know these emotions. Like I don't know if it was emotions that you had been suppressing or that you weren't aware of. This is a really interesting reading already. The way these messages are coming through is very difficult for me to decipher. Reset past for Aries, please. Reset past for Aries, please. Reset past for Aries, please. Wheel of Fortune in reverse, Ace of Swords in reverse, World in reverse, and then the Fool in reverse. So there's some sort of new beginning that the universe is trying to bring into your life. But this new beginning couldn't have happened if you hadn't have gone through this. Because this Wheel of Fortune in reverse is an energy of like negative changes, seemingly negative changes, things that feel very negative to you, but are actually blessings in disguise. And then the Ace of Swords in reverse is like not seeing something clearly, not seeing the truth, not necessarily the truth, but just not seeing through a clear lens, seeing through the lens of fear, doubt, and insecurity, or through rose-colored glasses, or something of that sort. And this was all very intentional. It's like you needed to feel this way. And feeling is such a major part of this reading. It's like you needed to feel this way. You know, sometimes we have to learn our lessons the hard way. And I feel like the universe has a really tricky way of putting us in situations to make us feel really bad so that we learn, I don't really want to feel that way again. So I'm not going to make those decisions again. Or I'm not going to let that cycle repeat itself or something like that. It's almost like you had to learn this lesson this way. Like you had to learn a lesson the hard way, but like not like because of something you did wrong. Like you just had to learn this lesson this way because that was the way that it had to go for you to learn what you needed to learn. Man, I hope this is making sense because these messages are all over the place. Current energy for Aries. I hope they're not coming through all jumbled because they feel very jumbled. Current energy for Aries, clarifying, keep your heart open with the 5 of Cups. But you know what? Your current energy feels a little bit more clear. That's intentional. Because that's what it feels like, is it's like you haven't been able to like understand why something happened or something of that sort. And like now your current energy, it feels a little bit more clear. And then I bet your future energy feels even clearer. It's almost like things are getting clearer as time goes on. Current energy for Aries, clarifying, keep your heart open with the 5 of Cups. There's the Tower. See, this Tower happened. This is a Tower from back here. This isn't a Tower. And there's the Ace of Swords in reverse. So, oh, the Moon in reverse. So, things really did here have to fall apart so that they could fall back together. And you know what's interesting is sometimes things fall apart and we don't even really grieve what we lost. And sometimes we do, and there's nothing wrong with grieving what what's lost. Like you're able to say, yeah, that was for the better. I see why that had to happen, whatever. But the hard part is actually grieving the person that you were in that situation and the person that you thought you were going to be because of whatever it was that happened. And so it almost feels, Aries, like you're in a grieving period right now. You're in a grieving period, but not just of something that happened, of like a version of you that you once thought you were going to be, or thought you wanted to be, or thought you needed to be even. And the more that you grieve that, the clearer your perspective gets on the situation. Because the more that you grieve this, and it's not just, again, it's not just a situation. For some of you, it's not the situation at all. For some of you, you're like, yeah, good riddance. That wasn't meant for me. And you're just dealing with kind of grieving the old version of yourself in a way, right? And that was one thing that kind of shocked me about healing, is every time I took a step forward on my journey, I could see why things had to change and transform and certain people in my life had to leave. It was easier to make peace with certain people leaving my life than it was for me to make peace with the new version of myself that was kind of trying to form, because it's harder to let go. And I feel like I'm repeating what I've already said, but I just feel like this message really needs to hit home, or I like needs to really come through, is that it's harder to grieve the person that we once thought we were going to be with a situation than it is to grieve the situation itself. Grieving the situation is actually kind of the easy part. It's grieving the version of us we thought we were going to be in it. And so I feel like that's what you're in right now, is like a grieving period. And maybe you're like, I'm not grieving. Like, I'm so happy that situation ended. Sure, maybe you are, but you still haven't found the new version of yourself without the situation that fell apart. And that's why things are still kind of unclear for you. You're still in this like phase in between, like past you and the new you. And that's a healing phase, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You can be in that phase for however long you need to be. Current energy for Aries, clarifying, keep your heart open with the 5 of Cups. Current energy for Aries, clarifying, keep your heart open with the 5 of Cups. Yeah, see, you're still kind of going through this emotional, like, kind of grieving period. You have the Ace of Cups with the 6 of Wands. The more you work through these emotions and the more you allow these emotions to move through you, and that's another thing that I've learned on this journey, is that intellectualizing your emotions can get you into trouble. And sometimes we even make ourselves feel bad for the emotions that we feel. Like when we leave a situation that isn't good for us, or we can see why something kind of fall apart, or whatever the case is, we can often, make ourselves feel bad when we miss it, because it's like, well, why do I miss something that's not good for me? That's not good. I shouldn't do that. And that's when we start to judge the way that we feel and think, and that judgment within itself is what kind of keeps us trapped in the mind, and in experiencing kind of the suffering of the mind. And so learning to break out of that and looking at things from the perspective of, you are a human being, Aries, and you need to give yourself a little bit of a break here, because I don't know if it's like, man, I feel like I should be in a better place than I am, or feel like I should be more moved on than I am, or I feel like I should be happier than I am, or more content, or I shouldn't miss that person, or I shouldn't want to go back to that, or whatever the case is. And it just feels like there's this need to understand that this, like, seriously, like, you're in a grieving process, and sometimes, although we might feel like we've moved on physically, like, we're still, like, our emotions and, like, self is still kind of catching up. And I feel like there's just this need to be gentle with yourself right now. Like, I don't know, it's kind of what's coming through. Like, just need to be gentle with yourself and understand that you're not doing anything wrong. You're just working through some really, really, like, honestly, like, from what I could feel in that beginning, to really complicated emotions. Like, it just, this feels like a very complicated situation. Current energy for Aries, please. Current energy for Aries. The more you heal, the lighter you feel. You have the 10 of Wands in reverse and the 10 of Swords in reverse. It's like, this is just, like, the best way I can put it is, this is just a healing phase. And there is this need to accept where you are right now, and to not be, I keep feeling like, not being so hard on yourself, like, not being so hard on yourself for not being further along in this healing process than you are. Because you're supposed to be exactly where you are right now, working through this. Because again, this feels like a very like, complicated emotional situation. And the more pressure that you put on yourself to be healed in a certain way, or, man, I was doing better 2 months ago than I am doing better, than I am now, or I was doing better 2 days ago than I am now. Like, the more that you have to remember that healing is not a linear process. You are not going to get from point A to point B by going in a straight line. Healing is up and down and backwards and forwards and backwards and up and down and all around. And it happens like that until, and it is a slow moving process forward, right? Like, you are moving in like the forward direction, but not linearly. And I feel like, is linearly a word? Not in a linear way. And I feel like there's this need here to understand that you need to give yourself permission, Aries, right now. Like, talk to yourself as if you're talking to your inner child, and say, I give you permission to be and feel where and how you do right now, where you are and how you do right now. I give you permission to be where you are and to feel how you do right now in this moment. And I'm not putting any pressure on you to be further along, or to have everything figured out, or to understand why everything went down. Because I feel like that's something that this, I love this new age wave of healing being a priority in a lot of people's life. I love it. I think it's really amazing, but I also think it can be really dangerous when we start to think that, oh, I'm not doing enough healing, or I'm not far enough along on my healing journey, or they're more healed than I am, or they're able to manifest and I'm not, and whatever the case is. And it's like, no, you cannot compare your journey to other people, first and foremost. And second of all, you're exactly where you need to be right now. And I feel like there's just that need to accept that, and to feel okay about that. Because in your immediate future, you have open up to change with the Page of Cups in reverse. It's like, sure, you are, the universe is trying to guide you forward into change and into positive new beginnings and things of that sort, but you can't start a new chapter before you close an old one. And maybe you want that chapter closed. Maybe you're like, I'm done with that chapter, man. If I could just, like, close that whole book and move on to the next book, I'm happy to do that. Maybe you want it to be closed, but it's not yet. And it's not because you're still healing, and that can be hard. But when you can accept that and stop trying to force it to be something it's not, then the process gets a hell of a lot easier. And I feel like that's what you're needing to do right now. All right, immediate future for Aries, clarifying open up to change with the Page of Cups in reverse. Open up to change with the Page of Cups in reverse, please. What does Aries need to know about their immediate future? This is for Aries' immediate future, please. Immediate future for Aries, please. Immediate future for Aries, please. There it is. The Seven of Swords in reverse with the Knight of Cups. Again, and then the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. And then the Five of Cups. So that's interesting. So we have the Knight of Cups and the Five of Cups coming out in your immediate future. But then you have the Seven of Swords in reverse. So what is that saying? I want more on the Seven of Swords in reverse energy. All of this is trying to reveal something to you. All of this emotion is trying to reveal something to you. Clarifying the Seven of Swords in reverse. Like everything you've been through is trying to lead you to where? Clarifying the Seven of Swords in reverse. Queen of Pentacles, Two of Cups in reverse, Three of Wands. You know, what I'm hearing is this happened so that things could be better than they were before. This happened so things could be better than they were before, but I don't know what before means. I don't know if that's before things fell apart or before this situation even happened at all. I don't think I'm supposed to clarify that yet. So all of this that you've been through, this Knight of Cups and this Five of Cups energy, this emotion and this grief and this pain and all of this is trying to reveal something to you. Get more for Aries' immediate future. Immediate future for Aries, please. Immediate future for Aries. King of Pentacles in reverse. Seven of Wands in reverse. King of Cups in reverse. And then there's that reevaluate again. What you don't realize is how strong this is making you. Now, strength it's important, sure. You know, being strong and being able to recover from things that are painful. But I also think that when you go through deeply painful things, a lot of times you're like, well, you know what? I didn't ask to be this damn strong, you know? So this kind of twofold, where it's like, yes, you've built your strength, phoenix rising from the ashes, all of that stuff. But in another way too, it's like you're both stronger, but also like what is that? What am I thinking of? Like both strong, because of this, you're becoming both stronger and like not necessarily confident, but like more like okay, this sounds really cheesy, but bear with me. Like comfortable in who you are. Like it feels like when you go through something that is so painful and so deeply traumatic, and you watch other people kind of going through through life and dealing with things too, you realize that a lot of the things that people worry about don't really matter as much, right? Like having like what you look like on the outside, or just the trivial things that people have a tendency to get caught up in. It's like when you go through something like truly painful, truly traumatic, you start to realize that like most of the stuff that people spend their time suffering over aren't even worth suffering over. And when you realize that, it's almost like you gain this appreciation for life in a completely different way. So when I was at my lowest, I mean, and I was able to break myself out of that, I came out of it with a completely different perspective on my life, about who I wanted to be, what I wanted my life to look like, what my priorities were, what my values were. And I'm very grateful for what I went through, because I look back at the person I used to think I wanted to be, which I had to spend a lot of time grieving. And I'm like, I don't think that person was ever actually looking to be happy and loved. That person was looking for validation and security and external things, and um, things that I look at now and I'm like, none of those things are important, right? And I know that my values have changed, and I have changed, and things in that nature. But it's almost like I'm stronger now for sure, yeah. But I'm also closer and more aligned with who I'm meant to be because of the things that I went through. And that is what this energy kind of feels like, is it's like you've been through hell, Aries. There's no doubt about that. And you've had to deal with a lot of things that probably a lot of people haven't had to. But because of that, yes, you're stronger, and that's something that you should absolutely be proud of yourself for. But more so than that, you're more you than you ever would have been when you go through, if you hadn't gone through something like that. Because when you go through something like you've been through, you get to know yourself on a level that you didn't know yourself before it happened. And so that's what this, I know that's kind of an interesting message in the way that's coming through. I hope that that's making sense to someone out there. But it's like, I love that it's like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Sure, absolutely. But sometimes strength doesn't really feel worth it, because you're like, what am I stronger for? To go through something else? And it's like, no, your strength, is absolutely forged in the fire, and that strength can be turned into amazing things. But aside from that, it's like you've also gained, or are gaining, more of who you are and what it is you're meant to do and be in this world because of what you've been through. And so that might give you a different perspective on things a little bit. Immediate future for Aries. And through that, through understanding and being more connected with who you are, your true purpose, your true reason for being here, you're able to then take more action towards the things that are meant for you, which means you're more in alignment. You're more in alignment with your soul, purpose and mission and people and family, soul family, so you're able to then attract the things that align with who you're really meant to be, and not the things that align with the lessons that you're meant to learn. That makes sense. Okay, immediate future for Aries. It's a long reading. It's taken me a while to really verbalize the messages coming through. Immediate future for Aries, please. You've been playing it safe. Aries, with this Three of Wands in reverse. And I feel like you've been playing it safe because you've been scared of maybe getting hurt again, or getting burned again, or being wrong again, or something. And it's like, yeah, but you've also, like, I don't know, like, I feel like if you could look at how much you've learned about life and about yourself and about what you want and about what you're capable of and what you're worthy of, and if you're able to look through what has happened through that perspective, I feel like you can kind of take your power back from it and say, you know what? I am stronger now, and I am able to see things more clearly, and I am able to take, I'm more connected with my intuition than I have ever been before. Like things of that nature that can allow you to see the purpose in your pain, which is kind of what this is talking about. Like finding purpose in your pain and understanding that your pain and all of the things you've been through really have happened for the better for you. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to hop on over to the extended. I'm going to clarify these messages, dive deeper into them, and I have an advice card to pull at the end. I feel like this is a very deep emotional reading, so I do hope that someone stuck it out until the end. Thank you so much, Aries, as always, for your support of my channel. I do hope this reading resonated with you in a way that you were needing today, and as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. Bye, Aries.